Okay, welcome everyone to the archive work group meeting. Um, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just getting funny messages on my thing. Okay, let's click the project management thing. It's now called project management. Okay, so welcome to the SingularityNET Archives monthly stand-up meeting. I'll just give you a brief intro to what we do, which is like a standard intro. So, SingularityNet Archive contains a history of the activities of the SingularityNet Ambassador Program. All content is licensed under an open source Apache 2 license, and contributions may be licensed also under a Creative Commons. We do video recordings of these meetings, which you can find on QA DAO's YouTube channel, I think. Or our goal is to provide a collaborative platform for SNet archive community to share knowledge, ideas, and best practice. And we welcome contributions from anyone interested in SNet, whether it's a new project, code example, or documentation. So that aside, our process is to first of all, we are going to review action items, which we'll just go over to Vanny in a moment, and then we come back to here and we review items on the board and give updates on there. So, do you want to do the action items now, Vanny, and I'll
Yep,
stop sharing?
I will do. Let me just share my screen. And here is the summary tool summary for this meeting. I'll just add in who's here. Alfred and Peter, and that's it. Oh dear. That's a bit rubbish. All
Yes.
right.
So
So
Andre can't make it, can he? Because he's
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
All right. And I've updated the GitHub issue for this meeting, which you've just shared, Stephen. All right,
Yeah.
so decisions from last time. We said that as token price remains a bit low, we still won't submit any pending Q1 tasks because they were calculated at the staggering amount of 55 cents as an exchange rate. And we said we might rethink in August and pay outstanding Q1 tasks anyway. I don't know, do we want to do that? It feels like token price is particularly low at the moment. It's like
Mm.
27, so it probably wouldn't be a good idea. And I think those who have outstanding Q1 tasks are kind of okay to wait, probably. Maybe we should
Yeah.
say we'll keep an eye on it during August, and if we see it goes up to a reasonable amount, then we will do it, and if not, we'll bring it back to the meeting in September. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I think the consensus was on that really. I think it has been
Mm.
for a while really. We're just waiting for When Moon on SNet.
Yeah, I mean, no, but I sort of think we're not going to get Moon. We're probably not going to
No, I
get
know, I know.
55. So what we were saying last time is that we might pay Q1 tasks anyway. Um, so
Yeah.
what I'm suggesting is that last time we said, oh, we'll decide in August. So I think what I'm saying is that we should keep an eye on it. And if it goes up to a reasonable amount that we feel is like reasonable, then we'll
Mm.
do it, even if it's not 55.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So there was stuff about Andre's tool development work, and we'll come on to what he's been doing. I mean, he won't have been doing any um this time because, there wasn't budget for it in July. So yeah, that was all done and we can take that off. Um, yeah, our Q3 budget got consent, but we're at the stage now where we need to start thinking about our Q4 budget. So that's on the board when we get to it. Um, Monthly archives Gitbook issued, we noticed that summaries are still being submitted without any chasing, and that is actually still true through July and what I've seen of August. So it seems like that's quite embedded now in the process for most work groups. So yeah, I'll kind of remove that as a comment. We also noted that some meetings are still on the calendar but are not happening. We agreed to raise that in the last workgroup sync call, which was Monday, and I did raise it, and we've kind of raised it around the place, and I think mostly people have tidied it up. We noticed that, yeah, we talked about the development repo on rule-based auditing, and Neo4j development has now been moved from the QA DAO organization to the SingularityNET GitHub organization. And we talked a little bit about what's in it, and we'll come to that, further updates on that
Mm,
in this meeting. Um, we talked about what our focus would be in July, and again, we'll give some updates on that, looking at rule-based auditing and developing learning resources on using Neo4j Aura. Um, and Peter mentioned the development of Quello, which we just noted that it builds knowledge graphs out of people's documents in the form of PDFs, whereas we're using Gitbook and linked Google Docs as our main source. And plus, we have a focus on audit and examination of the results or outputs of a knowledge graph from an open source and ethical perspective. So there's definitely points of connection. And from what you were saying, Peter, you might have some minor updates on or news on Quello, so we'll get to that. Action items. God, this is still hanging on. This idea of asking deep funding if the events circle could take on documentation of town hall.
mm.
Yeah, I've chased it. I need to chase it again, basically. So I guess I will just change the date to the end of August, let's say, and I'll get onto it and see if we can get that happening. In the context of this, I do want to just mention that one of the things that is really holding me up is our town halls. Um, we've got that as something that we do add a summary for. And even though you could just cut and paste whatever timestamps there are, I tend to find that they're not always that accurate, and I find myself kind of editing and tweaking. And I just wonder what people think. I feel like it is still worth doing and it is still important to have it in
Mm.
the archive. But do people think I should just carry on with the policy that we've got for other summaries, where even if I can see that it's wrong, I just archive it? Or what?
Just waiting for um, my view is yes, because we had a kind of before and after cut-off date back in, I can't remember what it was, February maybe.
Yeah.
And really, God, how long have we been doing the archive now? 2 years or so.
Mm.
And so we have a body of a corpus of data that is quite clean. And
Ah,
after,
yes, but I think you're missing something here, which is that I'm really behind with them. So I've got stuff to do with town halls, which is before the cut-off date.
right, okay. Well, yeah, I suppose what we have to consider is whether to refine that corpus, then, I suppose. And
Yeah.
then after the event, we don't have resources to update
Yeah.
after that. So, but there may be a reason to keep clean the corpus itself, the before
Mhm.
corpus, I mean.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I'm wondering, I'm gonna look at our budget and see what we've got, but if we could maybe, yeah,
yeah.
maybe have some, put some budget towards making town halls up until the cutoff date
While,
clean.
while we're on action decision items, it just occurred to me this goes back to Andre's dashboard, doesn't it? And I noticed you just changed the due date. Does it record the date that an action item was re, sort of created automatically?
Does it what? Sorry.
Is there a record of the action when the action item was created?
Well, yeah, by looking at a previous summary in the
Okay.
archive.
Okay. Good. Just
So
want to
yeah.
check that from a data perspective. That's all. Just a data related question.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll see what we can do about that. Um, yeah, and then I just said done about there was an action item for Andre to add Alfred's name to the archive names. That's done. You were to post in the archives Discord channel to say that our graph development repo has been moved. And you were going to attend a town hall to say this and say a bit about what we're doing this quarter.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
I haven't, have I? So yeah, I mean, yeah, I could come, and there's still some things in flux a little bit, which I can discuss today. Again, it's more a question of priorities, really, I
mm,
suppose. And but we
I
have,
mean,
yeah, gone.
we could fold it into our work group monthly updates,
Yeah,
which will be in the last
yeah,
week of August, which is the 26th.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, maybe if we do that. But yeah, you did add something to the Discord channel, so that's all good.
yeah.
Um, I was to contact Think Tank Stroke Sandbox to ask if they're potentially interested in hosting a workshop on our graph work later in the quarter, sort of end of September, and they said yes. So I'll update that in a minute. And I was to add to the work group sync call agenda. Yeah, I did that. So that's done. Okie doke. Right. That's about it for action items and decisions. So back to
Great,
you.
thanks, Benny. I'll go back to the screen share um, for the our project board. Okay, just gonna move some things around here. The thinking about how we can approach the board, because
Could I
really,
just ask something quickly about the August issue,
yeah,
the project management issue? I think we said that these are usually assigned to you, but I think we said we'd assign two to you and one to me in a quarter. Is that right? And because this is the one that is going to be, it's going to encompass some of the project management stuff that we're doing, like writing the budget, writing the quarterly report, which we don't have separate budget for anymore. Would it make sense to make that one my one?
yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I agree actually. So, I think I was just in the habit of automatically assigning it to me because that's the way it's
Oh no,
already
I think
been.
Andre automatic. If you scroll down, you'll see that he assigned it to you because
Oh, I
yeah.
think that must be the GitHub action that he wrote.
No, he actually did it manually because
Oh, did he?
it doesn't
Okay.
assign it. But anyway,
Oh,
all
okay.
right.
Well, it's now yours, so that's fine. Do you want the July one assigned to you as well?
No,
Or
no, because the June and July one are yours, and we
okay,
said it'd be two to you and one to me. So yeah,
okay. I probably should close that, by the way, as well.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah, you do.
just close that issue and
Oh, and make sure it's tagged unpaid, otherwise,
ah,
because it's not paid yet, is it?
I don't think so. I haven't. Um,
So yeah, if you scroll right down, there's an unpaid tag. Yeah.
okay, there you go. Okay. So the bulk of our issues are the archives backlog, which do you want to give an update on that for all of them?
No,
Uh,
yeah, can just summarize that one of the things that's holding it up, no, you don't need to open any of them, they're all
yeah,
the same.
okay.
Um, one of the things that's holding up is for some of them is that I've got town halls to add. So yeah, I'm just going to do the best I can. And I just haven't finalized them because I just don't want to. I was in a rush and I didn't want to make a mistake. But yeah, I just need to close them all and make sure that they are reflecting what is actually in the archives. So I'll do that in the next couple of weeks and we can get them all off the board.
Okay. I mean, Andre isn't here, so he can't give any updates on the. I mean, but there hasn't work is on hold, isn't it, on the
Mm.
desktop tool? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't budget for anything in quarter three for it
Yeah,
because we didn't have enough. So he decided to take a hiatus.
yeah. But there's been no major issues in the past month. The desktop tool's quite stable.
Yeah.
I'm still collecting data there.
Hmm.
I can't remember what this. Do we need to do any updates on the names of tags?
I don't think there's that many new people. I think everybody that's come in recently has already been added. So
Right.
yeah. Or
Okay, so
would
I'm
you?
just trying to cover all the bases before I get on to the graph issues. Oh, open source policy. Is there any updates on that?
No, I haven't had a chance to get any further on it, but I have been thinking about it. I don't think anybody has been in and commented or added anything. But yeah, I think one of the key things that I'm thinking about is explainability. That's kind of like a key feature in a lot of thinking around AI
Yeah,
ethics. So yeah, I'm thinking about how that applies in an archives context.
good. That's good stuff. Okay, so that's a lot of that out the way. Now, last month in graph development, we were planning to do some preparation for this at Neo4j demonstration workshops. And me and Vanny have done some preparation for this. This is this tool here. I can bring it up on here. Yeah, so um, just can't make it any smaller, I'm afraid. So Neo4j Aura is a web-based version of a kind of a mainstream graph database, and we chose that as a way to get people started easily into using graph data. And we came across some issues here. I mean, basically, we're trying to create a way where people can a way to sort of like give it like a how-to guide to get up and running for testing stuff. Now, we were going to use import for CSV files, and we tried that, and we came across some import issues with the files that we're using. So we didn't have anything to. We did some screen recordings, but we haven't managed to string them all together yet, have we, Vanny? So, um,
I think we're thinking that we'll keep them all sort of quite itemized and quite short because
yeah,
it's quite nice to have these little 3 minute, 2 minute.
yeah,
This is how
yeah,
you import data. This is how you do this, that, and the other.
yeah. So basically, we have done some work, but we've done step by steps, like how to create a Neo4j account, which basically, you give your email, you connect with Google authentication, how to create an instance of a graph environment, which we recorded that, and then we're like how to import data, how to record that, and as Manny says, these are little segments, but like anything where you're trying to show how to use something, we've come across some technical difficulties which we needed to work out how to get around that for most people. So we're trying to keep it as simple as possible for most people, and that's proving quite challenging. So we also may look at how we might create some sample data, some very simple sample data, so people can get started on basic graph creation. And I'm going to do some work on that with basically two sets of data, which will allow you to import two flat, it's basically main melt CSV files, like flat files, which then you can use to create nodes with relations to each other. And so I'm looking at that. Then this experience also made us think about it was taking up quite a lot of time to do this. We kind of forgot how time consuming it can be to do educational material. So, but we're going to still continue doing that. But at the same time, we've also been looking at, um, actually developing stuff ourselves. Not so much educational, but actually using, um, um, connecting to data ourselves and beginning to analyze that data. And what I've done is made some progress in that direction by directly referencing using Cypher. Cypher is a query language, a bit like SQL, but it's a query language that is applied to graph databases. It's a standard language. And I was trying to resolve some issues with rather than import things in a graph database, you can import things sort of in almost manually, but that's a bit clumsy because it means you have to download a file, import it. It's not automated. It's not linked to live data. So I've resolved how to link it to live data using something called an APOC library. I don't know what APOC stands for, but it's a kind of connection library. So and it allows us to directly connect to our GitHub data dumps. So sorry, I'm going on a bit, but this is like background. So Andre created a series of GitHub actions which takes data from our archive and dumps that on a regular basis in a standard location on a GitHub repository in a JSON format. And that already exists in the repo, so that provides an audit trail. This call here connects to that directly. So it connects to specific locations in the GitHub repository. And then it will return those values and create nodes and edges from that. A node is an encapsulation of a data in a graph format. So here it's for example, it's saying create a node out of meeting, and under the meeting JSON thing is like, for example, a meeting date, purpose. These are examples. So that creates a node with properties. So we're beginning to, this gives maybe give I can this is a screenshot of how that might look. This is very basic. So you just connect to external JSON, you return the values from those, and you create nodes from that, and that creates a very basic node. In this case, it's created one node, but in practice, what we would do is grab all the data. So we would have many nodes, one node for each meeting, and then we can start refining that, seeing the relations between properties of each node. For example, who attended, for example. So one person might attend many different meetings, and that would show relations between that. So as I say, that what we realized is that it's going to be tricky to, it's time consuming to produce basic ABC educational material. But there's also a demand. I noted like yesterday's meeting on governance, where there's also a demand for actually using graph database directly. So we're going to start looking, maybe balancing our work to focus more on that. So taking data sets, importing them into graphs, analyzing them, and then feeding that back to people, because I think that can also produce some. I think there's a real demand for that, and another thing I'm looking at is how to use is I'm concerned about the proprietary nature of Neo4j. Neo4j does use a standard graph schema, but also if we were going to use it with lots of people, you'd have to pay for it, which is quite expensive. So I'm also looking at how to build graphs generically using Python code, and there are some Python libraries which are relatively straightforward, which use network graph theory, which we can apply network graph theory to data sets. So sorry, that was a very long ramble, but that's where we're at. And it'd be interesting to see feedback on what our priorities should be. Me and Vanny are trying to advance our knowledge together so we can work together, and we really want to expand that knowledge out to other people using, things like Cypher, interfacing in with JSON files or JSON data or CSV data. And so but there is an overhead for training. So what should our emphasis should be? Should it be on training, or should it be on, let's see what data we have across the whole of the ambassador program and how we can use it? So I'll stop there.
I don't know who are you going to train. Like if there is a demand, somebody wants to use it for their data, then perhaps. But right now, I assume there isn't enough understanding what people can achieve with this. And perhaps then it's better to focus on like an outcome or an output that you can say, we took all of this data, we made all of these scraps. Do you want to do something similar with your data? If yes, then you create training data.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because
Yeah.
not least because we're in a unique position with the archives corpus in that we can see what effects we get with a knowledge graph on that data, and we've got the community that created it right here. So they have an insight into whether what we get from a knowledge graph is accurate, skewed, biased, um, insightful, what it is. So this whole emphasis that we've had all along on kind of auditing and assessing the the stuff we get out of a graph database is going to be easier to do than it would be with another corpus where we're kind of not, we haven't got the community that made it right there.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I kind of your point about that kind of gap between knowledge and execution, TiVo. So it's quite frustrating because we do have a knowledge of how to create graphs from data and start to build on that. And we were hoping to bring more people along with us on that. But unfortunately, there's a bit of an overhead in that. And again, there's the question of, to be on frank, is the capability in the ambassador program there? I mean, we do have people who are familiar with data manipulation, like yourself, Tivo, Andre, for example. I don't know who else. There's probably other people as well, Vanny as well, who understand, who can get to grips with, here's a data set. What can we do with this data set, and what does it tell us? Yeah,
Mhm.
and we need that kind of basic knowledge even before we move on to graphs, because graphs are going to take those, because basically what we're doing is taking flat file data paradigms like spreadsheet type data, and then modeling, creating, applying a new graph model to that. Now I know people here like Thibaut, Banny, possibly others as well may know how, may be able to make that leap. Yeah, because it's quite, that you're already familiar with data manipulation, so you can make understand that we're just going to take some data and then we're just going to say, okay, what is a node in that data? What is the relationships of that data with other nodes of data? And then to start applying new kinds of statistical methods to that, which are more based on graph theory. So, Danny.
Yeah, I think if we're hoping to engage the broader community, I think what we need to do is focus on demonstrating what we can uncover
Mm,
from a graph and go, it's almost like here are the insights, ta-da. And that should maybe inspire anyone who's interested to want to look into it further. And I think, as Tevo said, then is the point where we look at what kind of training materials we need to
mm,
create. So yeah, obviously we need to sort of keep notes of what we're doing and how we're getting the insights that we're getting and what kind of rule-based auditing we're using to assess it. But we also need to take that auditing to the community. That's the bit that we need people's
yeah,
input on at this stage. So it feels like that ought to be our focus. And we just need to do the work of, yeah, actually building the graph itself rather than try and create training materials on how to do that.
yeah. I mean, I suppose the pipeline that we're trying to aim is to build a graph, and then as you just say, Banny, we need to try and make that so it is, so it accords with AI ethical approaches. So, for example, this is people's data that they've imported over years and months. They own that data in a sense, so we may model that. So anything we model, we can do. We may have that capability to model something, but we always need to go back to the community to verify that what we're doing is what should be done, if you like, and also to verify that things like consent and that kind of thing. So that's all part of the process. Maybe you've faced similar challenges yourself, Tibo, with your data analysis, where let's say you have a treasury system and you know you can do data analysis on the treasury system, but you always have to go back to the community on some level to see, is this what the community wants? Is this reflecting what they want? Even though you may think, there's always that issue of going back and forth. But then there's also a gap of capability because not everyone can build a treasury system. Not everyone can do spreadsheet analysis, etc., all that kind of thing. Not everyone can do data analysis and put that into a graph. So we're in that kind of situation. So I don't know. I was hoping other people would speak, would jump in, but so broadly, our focus is going to be on. We're going to continue doing some basic educational material as much as we can, and yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what? But I think agree with you, Vanny. What we need to do is produce something tangible for people. So to graph some data, basically, and use our own initiative to do that, and to show what that has modeled back to the community. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to cover today?
Yeah, just the quarter 4 budget and quarter
Ah,
3.
right. Okay. Let's have a look at that.
Just really briefly, so it looks like the submission date is likely to be Monday the 8th, and we've got a meeting on Wednesday the 3rd of September, so we'll be able to sign off drafts then. So I'll work on those between now and then. And just to note that Governance Workgroup is going to be discussing possible changes to budget caps in its meetings on, I think it's going to be 12th and 14th, possibly 19th is when it will be finalised. So that might affect what Archives Workgroup's cap is. And also just note that the new governance dashboard might be used for submission of budgets this time, so it might be a slightly different process. But yeah, I'll have drafts for our September meeting.
Okay, that's great. Okay, is there any other business or anything else that people want to cover at all? And if not, I'll stop sharing and stop recording or pause recording. Stop recording.